Hi there.
Yo, we
Yo,
made it. Oh
we
my
did
gosh.
it.
Hello.
I can't even believe we're here.
Wow.
It took that was like crazy ordealness. It was
It
fun.
was. I had to set up a bunch of technical things, revert a bunch of stuff back to how I had it before, but we got it fixed. And we have a guest with us, as you guys can see. Oh, I pointed the wrong way. As you guys can see,
Hi
That's
it
probably
is,
the
everyone.
right way on the call, right?
yes, correctly. I did
Like
it correctly
like
on
I
the
have
call,
to
not on the
I
video.
have to do this, which is totally the opposite.
That's actually correct for me. See, Discord
It's
is
correct for
punk.
me too.
There you go. So, welcome, Haley. She will be joining the show with us this evening slash morning slash wherever you are in the world. And we're happy to have the first time we're ever having a guest. And hopefully we can continue doing this and it works out great. I'm sure it will. Our guest here, Haley, is more than capable and more than well informed enough to give at least what I believe to be good advice and at least very good encouragement, as she is such a bright and loving person.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. I would introduce Joe, but you guys all know Joe. He's the awesome, angry one. There it is.
The
No, I'm
angry
kidding. He's
one.
not.
That's
He's not,
right.
he's not angry. He's just, you know,
Just irritated.
Passionate.
there's this, yeah,
Thank
passionate. Thank you. When you're so awesome, it looks a little bit like anger, but what really it is it's just pure awesomeness. And that can be intense sometimes. So, yeah.
Wait, cats, I'm not on the top.
Well, for me, you're on the top on Discord, but nowhere else.
Oh, I
Mhm.
gotcha. I
Mhm.
gotcha. I was gonna say, like, no, I'm in my spot, man. I'm in bottom left corner.
That's right.
That's my spot. I keep it warm.
Dang, well, that's kind of where I want to be. I want to be warm. Luckily I'm in Australia, and it's warmer here than it is for you guys, I'm sure.
I don't know. It's like
Well, but
70
Ryan,
degrees today.
Wow, that's actually
yeah,
maybe
but
warmer.
heat rises, so won't you be warmer on the top?
Oh, that's a good point.
You are, and if I'm like combusting down here because I have an arson tendency, like you're gonna get all the heat
Oh
because
man,
you're right there.
yeah, I see. Well, that's a lot of smoke. So
You like it.
I do. I wasn't complaining. Uh-huh. It's a lot of hot air. That's what I like.
A lot of hot air.
Yeah.
Joe's full of hot air.
That's what
and
I
heat
like. When I talk to
rises.
somebody, I just want them to just be spewing hot air the whole time. Great. So
Yeah.
yeah, welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. Hey, automatically Cats is in the immediately, that's the word. Cats is already in the chat, giving those links and telling you guys what to do. How rude. Let me tell you what to do. Hey, welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. Please submit a topic to to don'tworrywednesday.com. You can find that at don'tworrywednesday.com, and that's on your web browser. Also, you can go to our shop and purchase things if you so desire. We should make some more DWW merch. I mean, especially since this is the place where we advertise it the most, I guess that would make sense. Anyways, maybe someday in the future we'll do that. Welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. This is the show where we talk about topics and issues, problems that are going on in your guys' life, so that we can help be friends and encourage you along your way. A lot of times you guys know what to do, but it's really nice to just have an extra perspective, or just talk about it for a while and kind of let things calm down. Also, we aren't professional psychologists or anything along those lines, but you know, we all need some time to just talk or listen to someone else talk sometimes. And there have been many times where I've earned so much wisdom just by listening to others. And even if they were incorrect, just having them talk incorrectly about the topic has helped sort of establish some thoughts of my own and some bases of my own. So if nothing else, we hope to provide some encouraging and thought-provocative discussions, and mostly just be a friend as we walk alongside you. again, we aren't a substitute for therapy, and there are definitely times where you're going to need that in life. So we would never say ignore that call or use us as a way to get out of it, because sometimes it's really needed. Yep.
It is, and sometimes you don't even know it.
Mm-hmm. That's
Funny.
true. That's true.
It's funny. Like I graduated from therapy, and then like I go meet with my priest like a month or two later or whatever, and then I'm talking to him, and he's like, "So, are you seeing a therapist?"
Oh my.
And I'm like, "No."
Oh man. Well, that's okay. I think
That's whatever.
I think your therapist is very smart and knows that you're continuing your journey, but no longer need the same level of therapy.
Right.
Yeah. Now, does she
I need
operate?
a higher level.
Does she now operate as your coach, or is that not?
Yeah, she's my coach.
Okay, cool.
So we still get to talk, right? And like that's all great. But yeah, so
very cool.
Yeah, at this point though, she was like, "Okay, so if you need therapy, I have people to refer you to." But it was crazy. There's just a few other things that she was just like, "Okay, these things are probably going to pop up, and when they do, these are the tools you need." Right? And whatever.
Smart.
So
Wow.
but
very thorough then. That's incredibly thorough. Just even on the follow-up, that's awesome.
But it's true. You can learn a lot just from listening to people. You can, and you can learn a lot about yourself by like having friends to talk to, by having books recommended. There's all kinds of stuff, right? And so you don't necessarily always need a therapist, and sometimes it's hard to find a good one. So like that's another thing too. Like you might have to, sort through a few before you finally get to one. But yeah, it's pretty wild. Oh, by the way, Savage Tunes says hi. I just
hey,
want to let you know that.
That's awesome. I like him.
Had to throw that out there.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah. So, where were we? Oh,
I don't know.
I guess everybody, this is this one's Haley. Haley, do you want to introduce yourself? You don't have to. I just wanted to give you the floor to introduce who you are and what kind of stuff you like to do and what you have done.
Yeah, sure. My name's Haley, in case you hadn't caught that yet. I am a college student. I'm majoring in biochemistry, and I work in a research lab on campus. We're studying tissue engineering. So we're working on modeling a lung disease using something called organoids. It's really interesting. I'm always happy to go into way more detail about it if you desire, but if you don't desire, that's fine too. So,
Wise.
yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, geez. Well, clearly, I mean, that takes a lot of study and work to get into that field, and that's very impressive.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
And good grades. Like you gotta have pretty good grades, probably.
Yeah, I didn't have those.
Yeah, we do our best. It was really funny. So we were given this like lounge specifically for biochemistry majors, and I was listening to some underclassmen the other day, and they were complaining all about the first biochem class that you take as a biochem major, and it felt really validating because their conversation sounded a lot like what I used to say when I was in that class.
Nice. Yeah, I bet that would be very validating.
Yep, but also I'm past that, and things have gotten better and easier. So you know what? It was great to see how far I've come.
Yeah, way to go! That's awesome. That rocks. Yeah, I mean, geez, how many years have you been in there now? What did you say?
This is my third year.
Third year.
So I'm a junior right now.
Yeah. So how many years do you have left? If you know.
If I graduate on time, which I think I'm on track to graduate on time. I'll have one more year after this.
Oh, that's great. That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's
Mhm.
awesome. How about you, chat? How you guys doing? Tell me your life stories now. Right now.
Right
You guys are
now.
late. You guys are late. I'm not gonna listen to it anymore.
Missed it.
Yep. Just push the backspace button. I know you started. Just push the backspace button. It's all right. I'm kidding. Feel free to share anything you want in chat. But yeah, now I'm gonna start paying attention more to chat. Yeah. Zay, that sounds like a life story to me. Right, you need to be more aggressive. I thought I was being plenty aggressive. Aw, man. I have to work on it.
That is Ryan being aggressive.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, wow.
He even had his aggressive face on.
I
Did
saw
you see
it.
it?
If you
Did you
if you
see
missed it, yeah, wow.
Mhm.
It looked like a smile probably. You born, you lived, and you're eventually going to die, but that's your autobiography. Well, careful with that last one.
Hey,
You never know the future, they say.
that reminds me, I got this great book.
Oh, did you?
And I'm already halfway through it. Yeah. Your sister-in-law got it for me, Ryan.
Oh.
For my birthday. And I was just over there yesterday, and it's like my birthday was like 3 weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
But she's like, here's your birthday present. I'm like, sweet. This is, I don't know if you can read this.
Oh. Meditations on Death.
Yes.
Nice.
I was like, ooh, that's like right up my alley. It's great.
That sounds
But it's
so
very,
good.
yeah, well, it's by Thomas A. Kempis, who wrote,
Yeah.
he wrote the, I'm drawing a blank. I don't know. He was a monk from back in like the 1400s or whatever, right?
Yeah. Shoot. Anyways, he wrote some good stuff.
The Imitation of Christ.
That's the
that
one.
was the big one. That's the
That's
big one that he wrote. That
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's big too. It's like
Huge.
thick.
Yeah. I have excerpts from that book. As in, there's a book that I have back in Michigan that is literally just small excerpts from that book, and this book that I have is about this thick and kind of big. I'm like, what? It must have been a huge book. So pretty cool. But I'm guessing it's more than excerpts. It's probably also like gives extra sort of thoughts and ideas on top of it. But yeah.
Zay, I gotta answer your question. I don't play The Sims. I don't have a Sims personality, but I
You
would
have a
say
Sims code?
yes, I probably am a bookworm. Like I'm looking around my desk right now, and I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 books sitting here, and then one of my 3 journals, and then other notebooks. Oh, and 6 books, because we can't forget this book.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
It's
Is
a
it a
good
book?
book.
Is it a book, or is it just
It's a book,
pure
man. Look at
masterpiece?
It's a book.
dude.
Because
Oh yeah.
it
I think it's
overqualifies.
like it's the epitome of masterpiece.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yes, because Ryan wrote
Like,
the words in it.
like it's gonna be studied in schools in generations
Oh
to come.
yeah. It's like it's so classic. It's kind of like multi-page tablets. Like a
Mhm.
multi-page tablet.
Mhm.
Fundamental to society, transforming.
Mhm.
Incredible.
Well, there's a
It's
lot
a
of
game
wisdom
changer.
in that book. There is,
There might be, yeah. There actually is.
there's a lot of great art and there's a lot of great wisdom in there as well. Like I got to read the whole thing as I was, doing the page layouts
That's
and
true.
stuff. And yeah, Ryan, I mean, you've listened to Static P's music, right? I mean, like there's wisdom in the music, and then he takes all those songs and he unpacks the wisdom that he put in the songs in the
Yeah.
book.
And
So like
expounds upon
then
them,
you
yeah.
get an idea for all that, and it's absolute brilliance and lots
Thank
of
you.
wisdom.
Thank you, Joe.
Mm.
Appreciate that.
You're
Yeah, I mean
welcome.
that's the whole
It's
point
true.
for me. You've never listened to Static Piece music? That's totally fine. That's totally fine. Mark
Well,
it down
don't
as just
start now. Whatever you do, don't.
Yeah, Yeah. Well, yeah, that would be bad.
You gotta be really careful. You'll listen to one song and then you'll be hooked.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. It's like a drug.
Mm-hmm. You know,
Yeah.
for never listening to it, I'll mark you down for just like a minor infraction. But like if you do listen to it, I'm gonna have to mark you down for addiction. So you don't really have very many choices here. You might get warned in the future. We'll see.
If you were in the chat when we started this whole deal, and so you have listened to
Ooh.
Sea Pearl
Mm,
by Static P,
that's true.
which is the intro music to Don't Worry Wednesday.
That's right.
And I know y'all have listened to Be Dat, which is at the end of Don't Worry Wednesday, because everybody's like, oh, we
that
need this song. And we finally were like, okay, we're going to release it. And we did.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Ziegler ASMR intro. Well, then you've listened to, that's by Static P too.
It might have his name on it, I guess.
So there.
But it's my work.
And new, like there's a new podcast, the Saginaw Catholic Men's whatever podcast.
Oh wow, yeah.
Like it's such a super long title. That's got Static P music at the intro as well. You know, it's Static P music's everywhere. You've listened to it and you just don't even know it.
Mm-hmm. You know that song goes. You know that one by Michael Jackson.
Now you've just listened to more of Static P.
That
music
was Static
just
P's
now,
version of that song. You just heard. Okay, anyways. Let's do a topic. I think that would be a good idea. We're already almost 30 minutes in. We might have started late though, actually, but we started 10 minutes late almost, but
we started exactly when we were supposed to.
Yeah, everyone that was supposed to be here for the show is here. We're all right.
We weren't late. Everyone else was just early.
Yeah.
Yes,
True.
Exactly. Right?
Yeah.
Yep. The cool thing about hosting a show is, you know, we're always on time.
Even if we miss it entirely. Even if there's no show. Because it's a no show. Oh, that's weird.
Right. And that was by design, right? Like we did.
That's right. All right, so let's do a topic. Joe, you had made I can do either of these two, is that correct?
Well, I don't see Baka here. Baka, we do have a new one from Baka, and Baka wants to be present. So, Baka, if you are here, gladly just give us a shout out. Otherwise, we do have another one from an anonymous person that they say will not be here.
Okay, sounds good. Baka, if you want to show up, please show up. And in the meantime,
we got a Baka topic.
Baka topic.
Okay,
I like that. That sounds nice. Almost sounds like hot
Joe
topic.
telling jokes. I never tell any jokes.
Jokes. That is a funny joke. All right, so this one, I'll go ahead and pull it up.
Yes. Oh, I gotta do the thing.
Yeah, me too. I gotta do a thing.
Don't forget the thing, man. Don't forget. It's the thing you gotta do.
The hard part. Transition buttons. Good luck, me. I got this. Okay, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this one on the screen. Feel free to read it.
Throw it up.
If you
throw it up, Ryan.
Desire. Yeah. And now there it is. It's pretty.
Perfect.
When I throw up, it turns into words and tells me things. That's a weird thing. Okay, anyways, we're gonna cover this topic. Let's see here. So, this topic is titled Struggling to be Productive. And it reads as follows. Struggling to do normal operations of myself in the past. Wait, struggling to... Is that correct?
I mean, there's some punctuation that's interesting in here, but it might be like they're making statements. You know?
Okay. Struggling to do. Okay. Normal operations of myself in the past. If I do stuff, I have energy to do more stuff. This is particularly true if the things that I'm doing are productive things. I may get exhausted by the end of the day, but I'll be good the next day to do stuff again. If I don't do stuff, I have no energy to do stuff. I need to force myself to do something productive to gain energy to do stuff. How I am right now, I have been doing stuff and being productive and have no energy to do anything. And I have no energy to do anything. Forcing myself to do things just makes me more exhausted and have less energy. Goal: find other ways to get that energy to do stuff again. Or at least, how do I get myself back to being functionally and emotionally productive? Chapter 3 of the Red Book. All right. Thank you.
Yes, they Anonymous named themselves the Red Book.
That's right. Sorry, I didn't say that to begin with. Yes.
And apparently they are in chapter 3.
That's right. We've already done. I know we've done one chapter. Did we do? Where's the second chapter of the Red Book? Yeah.
Hey, you know what?
We don't need all the chapters. We don't. It's their book.
They're can start a chapter with whatever chapter. Like the Criminal Idol book starts with chapter 0.
That's true. And it used to start with. Wait. Well, the order was wrong. I can say that. Yeah.
Oh, maybe the Red Book doesn't have an order.
That's right. Because maybe chapter 3 is actually the 17th chapter.
Yeah, it's just whatever number they felt that day. I feel like a 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Myung Leos.
Pretty good.
Good to see you.
Yeah. Hey, welcome. So, yeah, this is a good topic. Actually, very relatable. So you're saying normally, in the past, you as long as you get up and do something during the day, you have energy throughout that day. But if you laze around at the beginning of that day or whatever, the whole day you just have no energy. You're saying now, how it is, you are struggling to even do that. Now it's, if you do something, you're exhausted and want to do nothing. If you don't do something, you just don't want to do anything. So you're looking for ways to get energy, to get stuff done, to being productive, and to being, as you said, functionally and emotionally productive. So I think these are good aspirations, obviously, and they're important ones. And I hope that we can do something to help you find that. So first, I'm going to go ahead and give it over to Joe, if that's all right. And then from there, we can get over to Haley.
I don't know if that's all right or not.
Haley, would you like to go first?
You know what, honestly,
we've never done this before.
Because, well, exactly. So we don't know who to go first. But honestly, I got to tell you, I'm really intrigued to hear what Haley has to say, because I know that, Haley has this, innate drive.
True.
I mean.
Well, she is quite young, so. Okay. That's how I feel.
But even still, like, compared to a lot of people her age.
Oh yeah,
right.
For sure.
Like I've seen so much drive and determination and productivity and everything. Just from. I mean, we've been friends for a while, and just seeing that in her is just inspiring. And so I'd really like to hear secrets from Haley. But Haley, if you're not ready yet, I can start.
Yeah, I was going to give it to you first, but I just wanted to be considerate and said, wait, Joe's done this show before. Maybe he'll be a little bit more comfortable. So anyways, yeah, go for
it. Yeah, I'm happy to start.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So I do want to preface, as much as I appear like I'm just always super productive, even I have times when I struggle with productivity. It's not easy, but I think it's important to remember that we're humans and not machines, so we're not perfectly operational. I feel like productivity tends to come in waves, so you'll be like riding the peak of productivity and you'll be doing a lot of things, and then it'll kind of crash, and then you feel like you're not doing well. But I think rather than trying to compare myself to others, one thing I do is I'll compare the me of today to the me of yesterday. Not even like the me of last week, but the me of yesterday, and be like, did I do better than I did yesterday? And I think that can help when I'm really struggling to be productive, because when you're struggling to be productive, it's really easy to get to be hard on yourself and to feel like you're just a failure and that you're not accomplishing anything, and then it just makes you feel worse, and then it gets harder to do stuff. But if instead you can set small goals within each day, like you could be like, oh, today I want to wash my dishes or I want to do laundry. And even if that's the only thing you accomplish that day, sometimes it's okay to celebrate that as a win and be like, look, I was good and I was able to accomplish this today. And I think as you do that, it can help you get out of those slumps a little bit. And another thing I think that helps is to find something you enjoy doing and that's easier for you to work on, because sometimes life gets really overwhelming and it's hard to want to do anything. But if you can find something that brings you joy and something you can give your time to, it can help build your confidence back up and help you start getting into a routine of working on stuff again. And then it can also be a good reward system. Like you can be like, okay, if I work on this, then I can go work on. I think those are things that helped me, is celebrating little victories and setting goals, and then being okay with rewarding myself for the things I do accomplish. The one other thing I wanted to speak on is sometimes it's important to try and think of why you're feeling so exhausted, because the energy is a limited resource. I, as a college student, know very well how limited energy can be. But I think if you're finding that you're not having energy to do anything, it's important to take a step back and think about why that might be. And if it's just that you've been overworking yourself too much recently, then maybe that means you need to take a break and let yourself rest and recover to restore some of that energy. And maybe you'll find that there's something else going on that's causing the lack of energy. I think determining where your energy is going is important in order to know how you can then redistribute your energy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well said. Thank you, Haley. Yeah. Do you have anything more? Any more wisdom I can learn from?
I think that's about it for my thoughts at the moment. Maybe I'll
Yeah.
think of more as I listen to you and Joe.
That's great. Yeah, that's awesome. One quick thing I want to say is, like, right off, you were saying there are other things that could be causing you to be low energy, and sometimes it's not just your mind; it can be your body. Your body isn't healthy, and you might not know why. Recently, personally, we've been dealing with what we believe is a mold issue in our house, and our lack of energy is very apparent, because just your body is constantly fighting off the mold issue, like the whole time you're at your house and when you're sleeping and when you wake up, and it's draining. And so both physical energy and mental energy have become an issue for us, and so we're working on getting it solved. But yeah, so there are environmental things, there are allergies and so on and so forth that can play into that can play in, and also, yeah, like Haley said, being overworked, or maybe even what you're eating. So those are all important things to look at. But yeah, Joe, I'm gonna give it over to you. What do you got on this?
No, first of all, thank you, Haley. That was great, and I'm gonna play off some of that, I think, probably in what I have to say. But I keep getting back to this. I keep looking at this last sentence on this. How do I get myself back to being functionally and emotionally productive? I'm not quite exactly sure what emotionally productive is, or what that means. It makes sense to you?
At least I think it feels
Can you
like
can you enlighten me?
Okay,
Or
give
maybe
it a
I just do the functionally part, and then you can do the emotionally
Okay, perfect.
part or
Yeah, that
something.
sounds great.
Well, I can tell you, like, everything that they have said is absolutely true. It's weird, and because you're right, Anonymous. Normally, a lot of times, the more we can get ourselves to do, at least to get ourselves to start, the more energy we have to do more things, right? And that's kind of like I've made a pretty big shift in my day-to-day routine recently. For years, I would start my day, I'd get up and I'd just like kind of wake up, and get some coffee and some peanut butter and vitamins, right? And then I'd go and sit down and I'd read and journal, right? And that was kind of how I'd start my day, was with study and, journaling and prayer and meditation, right? So I started my day doing that, and as I continued along this path, I've started to notice that maybe I needed to make a little bit of an adjustment, because I noticed that I was having trouble kind of starting myself into work mode, going
Mm.
from that into work mode, right? And I remember I had come across a guy, oh geez, probably 3 years ago. I was just looking at different ways to be productive. I was looking at different, programs people had laid out there, because there's all kinds of quote unquote gurus that'll tell you, how to do things and, whatever. And excuse me, everybody's got a different approach. And this guy, his particular approach was, he gets up and he does like he drinks some water and he does some stretching, and and in his case, he prays, does like quick prayer, like 1 minute, or you can do the same thing with meditation, just but quick, right? He blows through all that stuff as quickly as he can, just to kind of get his head in the right space, and then immediately gets to work on a task, even if it's just for 30 minutes or an hour, right? And so he determines, okay, what's important for me to do today? And he'll think about that the day before, and he'll set it out to himself, and he'll be like, okay, who do I want to be? Like, what kind of person do I want to be? And what types of things is that person doing? Now he's thinking professionally, right? So in my case, I'm a producer and a publisher. And so it's like, all right, what I need to do is get to work on one of those tasks immediately, because that does two things. One, it puts me into work mode, so I'm immediately being productive. And even if I don't do anything else for work the whole rest of the day, because I get sidetracked by, drama with, like my family situation, or other people calling all over the place, because like stuff just happens sometimes, right? Like, you get phone calls, you get emails, you get stuff, and it bombards you, and like before you know it, half the day is gone. You haven't done anything, and all you've done is answer a whole bunch of messages and put out a bunch of fires and told everybody they're awesome and they can do it, and like it's pretty wild, but you don't get anything done. But this way, well, actually, that is being productive, I think. When you're helping people, I would say
sure.
that's probably being productive.
Mhm.
But when there's tasks that need to be done, it's like, oh my gosh, I got to get this stuff done. But if I can start and do that first 30 minutes to an hour of doing one of those tasks, it can be really, really helpful, because it, like I said, it does two things. It gets me into work mode. It gets me to the point where it's like, well, if I do nothing else, at least I got that in today, right? So I can celebrate that. And then the other thing it does is it sets a keynote for the entire day, as far as, who am I today?
Mm.
And I've noticed this as I've been doing this. I just started doing this week, right? Or like maybe middle of last week. And it just kind of, it sets my identity as a producer, as a publisher. And it's like, okay, this is my professional identity. And so I'm living up to that. Right. And then I find it's a lot easier to get back into that type of productive work later in the day, because I've already set the keynote for the day. Does that make sense? Another thing that I can always say, and I've said for years, is some kind of exercise. Even if you don't, I know you don't want to do it. Nobody wants to, unless you've been doing it for a while and it's a habit. But even if it's just stretching or taking a walk or whatever, just doing something that moves your body. And if you live in an environment like Ryan was talking about that's got mold, maybe you want to go outside to do this, right? So you get some fresh air. But that's another thing that I've found has always helped me be more and more productive. If I'm physically, if I'm exercising, it's weird. You'd think it would exhaust you, and sometimes it does. Like right at the end of it, you're exhausted. But the more you do, what you find is it builds your reserves of energy, and so you have more to draw off of, as time goes on, which is great. So that's another thing. I think you mentioned sleep. Just keeping your body healthy, eating good food, sleeping, drinking water. These were things, and maybe this could get into the emotionally productive thing, because I remember when I first started therapy, those were the main questions that my therapist asked me as I was struggling with depression and anxiety and all this kind of stuff. She's like, "Okay, let's get the physical stuff out of the way. How much water do you drink? How much do you sleep? And what kind of food do you eat?" Right? And so, because all those things can play a part in how much energy you have, how you feel about yourself, how you feel about the world around you. And the better you are at having that baseline of physical well-being, the more you're going to have, you know, a solid ground for mental well-being, and then productivity and being emotionally strong too. So, um other than that, depending on your personality, I use anger, but that's just me. I don't know if everybody else does that, but I'll go and make myself mad, and then that'll make me have all kinds of energy, and then I'll be able to plow through a bunch of stuff. But um, I don't know. I think I don't really have much else other than that at this point. So I'm gonna turn it back over to you guys and
Awesome.
let you
Yeah.
guys talk, because
Thanks, Joe. That was great.
yeah.
Haley, do you have anything you want to follow up with that? On that?
Yeah, I was thinking one thing that I think is important is it's important to know yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm,
can look at
mhm.
what other people do and try to do what other people do, but ultimately, what works for one person may not work for you. There's some people that find that starting their day with meditation is the best way for them to be productive, whereas, as Joe mentioned, for others, it may not be the best way. So I think as you get to know yourself, you can start to understand what's going to work best for you. And the other thing that knowing yourself does is it allows you to start to cue into some of the signals that your body or mind might be giving you so that you can start to figure out what it is that you need to do in order to have energy. So, one thing that I've found is I tend to forget the importance of being out in nature and like getting into the sun.
Mm,
But when I take the time to just go on a hike and be out in nature away from my backpack and schoolwork and just soaking the sunlight, I tend to have more energy and feel a lot more energized than I do just in my everyday to day life. And that's obviously not how it's going to be for everyone, but that's something that works for me. So I think just starting to familiarize yourself with who you are and what needs you have makes it easier to start to figure out how to work with yourself. It also allows you to be kinder to yourself because then instead of just constantly beating yourself down and being like, I'm a failure, why can't I do these things? You're able to be like, okay, I'm not having an easy time right now, but I know that I'm trying my best and I do have these things going on that's making it harder. And so I think it just helps you to be in a better headspace as well. And that makes it easier to put yourself back on the right track.
mm.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
like that. And knowing yourself might take some experimentation with some of these different methods that people have put out there. I like that, because, you're right, Haley. Sometimes it's about figuring out, what are the things that make you tick, Is going
Mhm.
out and hiking going to give you energy? Is, meditating going to give you energy? Is exercise going to give you energy? All these different things, and you can try and pick and choose and experiment with different routines. I would definitely say if you're going to experiment with a routine, I would say at least give yourself at least a week with it to see how you respond. And then, but if you're not getting anywhere with it after like a week, if you're not feeling any different, you're not feeling any more energy, whatever, then maybe that's a good time to try something different. But yeah, Haley, you're absolutely right. Knowing yourself and what makes you tick is huge in this. 'Cause then you can figure out how to push your own buttons, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Very well said, both of you. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I have to give here, but I'll do my best. I think, you know, I guess right off the bat, it's interesting. You know, you said you used to be this or that, the other thing, and currently you're not anymore, right? And so that shows obviously that there is something that has changed, and it might not be a bad thing. It could be a good thing, but the consequences are a bad thing. So I'm going to give you just some thoughts. Throughout life, our personality doesn't always stay the same. What we're passionate about doesn't always stay the same. Our energy levels doesn't always stay the same. In fact, we find that more often than not, people work in sort of cycles. Animals work in cycles. They have their periods of run around, get all the food you can get, and then they have the periods of mating season. They have the periods of something close to hibernation, or whatever, right? And humans have their ebbs and flows as well. It can be a hormonal adjustment, and it could also be just a slow, methodic personality change. And usually that only occurs through depression, but it can occur outside of depression in rare cases. My point is, you might find yourself in this position from, who knows, many unknown reasons. And to power through it, of course, is it shows you've got strength. But to work through it intelligently, and by that I mean by trying to notice and pick up as many clues as you can as to what's going on, is probably better than just powering through it. Because clearly something has changed. Whether it be a good thing or a bad thing, clearly something has changed within you, right? And so to, like Haley and Joe have been saying, to dig into how do you work? Why do you work this way as a human being? Like, what makes you move? What makes you work well? What makes you not work well? By doing just little experiments on yourself. And don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to try things and just live something out for a week and see how it goes. That will do a lot of good into at least deducing what sort of things don't work, but also that helps navigate and zoom in on what things are happening in you and why things maybe aren't working. And as you do more and more tests and you find more and more negatives or more positives, you'll sort of hopefully discover what's going on and why you feel like you don't have energy, both mental and physical. So, and as for emotional energy, I'm guessing maybe perhaps you mean just your sustainability of having a good attitude, maybe even lacking, or just having a sustained energy for wanting to be productive is lacking. You know, your desire to be productive might be lacking. And so there's a lot of different things you have to sort of look at and figure out. And so I would suggest, like I said before, and like Joe and Haley said, try things out. Pay attention to yourself. Don't go through this looking to come out as someone who's like, oh, look at me, I'm so strong, I can force myself to do all of these things. Because you can do that.
Wait, what's wrong with that? I'm sorry.
And yeah, you can do that, and you will find yourself getting a lot of stuff done. But at the end of the day, if you haven't figured out what the problem is, that will eventually explode on you. It will get too hard to solve. And at that point, it'll be so deep rooted in you. Like, you could have fished it out earlier, but now it's like a deep hole that you have to dig within yourself and then reorder how you do everything in life, possibly because you've been living off of this, I don't know, this weird way of looking at things that isn't sustainable, at least not for years and years and years. I mean, it is, but you just find yourself deteriorating over time more and more. So, and I'm sure Joe, that's why he made a comment. He knows, he understands what that's like. And so
yeah, you got to pay attention to yourself.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, you got to pay attention.
Don't bury yourself in this whole deal.
True. There are times to bury yourself to sort of get away and relax, or to decompress, or to just get done with the stuff that you know you need to get done with. There are times for that. But if this is something you've been going through on a day-to-day basis for like a month, 2 months, 3 months, however long it's been, it might be time to just zoom in on what is the problem. And that's not going to be easy to solve, but it's worth solving, especially now more than later. And the last thing I want to say here is when you wait, hold on, let me reorder my thoughts here. For some reason all I'm thinking about is pizza. That's what comes to my brain when I was like, let me like reorder my thoughts, and someone ate pizza earlier, and apparently that's what my brain went to. Okay, I don't know, that was weird. Okay, anyways. I was like, what was I thinking about? What was it? Pizza. No, it wasn't. That is not it. I guess I'm hungry. So when you're looking to get more energy, it's like, okay, it's okay to push through, but one thing I want to suggest on top of everybody else's suggestions, and I know it's been it's a lot of suggestions. One thing Joe suggested, and I think I can sort of write off of, or something close to it, is fasting. You mentioned exercise. Getting in the habit of doing something, getting in the habit of doing something new is invigorating. It fills you with positive energy because you see yourself moving forward in it. It feels great. So getting into something new, and I don't mean getting in necessarily to a new hobby. You can pick up an old hobby. You can do anything, but exercise is a great option. But if you find that tires you out, understandable. Doesn't mean you should quit, but it could mean that you're physically unfit and that needs some work. Don't know. These are things you're going to have to find out. But fasting, and what I mean by that is, I mean, you can fast from anything, but I think food is a good one to go because food is something you do every day. It's something you think about every day. And so if you can do a light fast, like one of my meals I'm cutting out every other day, or something, it depends on how much you've fasted in your life and how you're used to it. You are, you're going to be able to step it up more and find different ways to cater to yourself, and what fasting works better. You can do something as simple as this. This is something I love to do, and that is make a sandwich, and like have a designated time. Like make a sandwich, maybe early in the morning, or maybe just buy one, whatever it is. And then when it's time to eat it, which could be immediately, you tell yourself, okay, I'll eat it. And you take one bite and then you put it to the side for X amount of time. So let's say 10 minutes. And you say, I'm gonna not eat that for 10 minutes. And then, you take another couple of bites and you set it down. And you say, give yourself another allotted amount of time. And then you finish the rest. Or another one that I was doing, I think maybe is even better. Just eat half of it. As soon as you're hungry, eat half of it. Then you're still hungry. And you're like, I need to eat the rest of that sandwich or whatever it is, right? Put it down to the side and then feel that hunger in you for the next 20 minutes or something, and then eat the rest of it. That sort of fasting, and I know it seems like, what does that have to do with my energy levels? Well, you might find yourself, by fasting, having more energy. By cutting out more food, you actually find yourself having to digest less, and that actually gives you more energy throughout the day. So if you find yourself snacking on a lot of foods and stuff throughout the day, especially to maybe you might find yourself to be an emotional eater or a coping eater or whatever. If you're not, that's awesome. I know that's easy to get into the habit of I'm looking for entertainment. Oh, I'm going to chew on something because it's tasty. You know, that's easy to fall into. I think
Look at that, man.
I watched both of you guys smile. That's apparently everybody's done that. Everybody in the chat too, I'm sure. So it's like it's easy to fall into that, and so I think it's good to learn to fast. If it's not something you've already done before, learn to fast, where you just either cut out a meal in the day, or eat less every time you eat. So eat half the amount that you normally eat, or whatever it is. It does help your energy levels, so long as your body is okay with it. Some people I would not recommend fasting. I don't want to say, oh, speak to your doctor before you consider fasting, though I probably should. So anyways, and obviously depending on your gender, there are going to be variances. If you're a female, you're not going to want to fast as intense as some males do, only because your body operates with a cycle that is hormonal, and you don't want to be messing with that too much. Trust me. And so fasting is good, but find a way that fasts for you, that tempts you and you reject it. This is going to do two things, right? I said the energy level thing, that's going to be boosted potentially. And the second thing it can do for you is give you more self-control. And by giving you more self-control, you might find you have more self-control over your functionality. You have over your emotional and physical productivity, right? Because fasting trains us to be better at self-control, and better at whenever we're tempted, we can fight it off. And so, believe it or not, low energy is technically a temptation to do nothing, right? You have low energy and you're like, I don't want to do anything today. You know that you should do something, but you feel like you don't want to do anything. Well, that's a temptation. It's like a temptation towards laziness or whatever. I'm not calling you a lazy person. This is actually more directed at me than anyone here. But you have to fast, or you don't have to fast, but you have to have that self-control to just stave away those temptations of choosing to not do something when you know you could. So that's what I've got. And I'm going to leave the floor to you guys. You guys have anything you want to add? Beautiful smiles.
I want to say one thing. And yes, what Ryan was saying about fasting is, that can be very true. Part of it is, there I studied a lot about fasting and all that kind of stuff. Now, Katz brings something up very important in the chat too. After having an eating disorder, and fasting messes things up and makes Katz binge eat, right? So like sometimes, like, you got, and this goes back to what Haley said about knowing yourself, knowing these things, right? If this is a door that you shouldn't walk through, then, and then don't walk through it. Another thing, and I would definitely encourage talking to a doctor. I remember when I talked to my therapist and I was dealing with low energy levels and everything, my therapist was always encouraging me to go get a blood panel done, and just saying, hey, you know what? Because there might be something going on hormonal, there might be something going on in, like some kind of deficiency that's doing this. If you're noticing something, Anonymous, that is persistent and you're trying everything and you can't get it figured out, there might be something going on physically that, a blood panel would help. Just go and talk to your doctor, get a physical, have them do some blood work just to check, just to make sure there's nothing going on physically that needs to be corrected. Because that's
important.
Definitely something to be aware of. And, and you can bring up different exercise programs and different nutrition type programs and all that kind of stuff as well. But I think probably one of the things that I never, ever, ever do that I really need to do, and Haley talked about it, and that's celebrate the victories.
Oh yeah.
Even the little ones. Like, if I have a victory, I'm always just like, well, yeah, that's how it's supposed to happen, right? Why celebrate? I just did what I was supposed to do, right? I'm a little bit mean to myself, I think. But no, but like but there were times when I was completely debilitated and I couldn't really do much of anything. And then I'd go to the store just to go get some chips. And like I had to celebrate that as a win because that was the first time I had actually gone out and done something in forever because I'd been struggling with like deep depression for a long time. And when I finally got myself up and did something, even something that little, drive 10 minutes down the road to get some chips, that was like a huge victory. And sometimes when you're struggling like this, even the smallest step forward can be worth celebrating. Now, it doesn't mean you have to go like reward yourself by going into debt by buying a big screen TV or something like that. You don't have to like do something that crazy, but like,
because then you have to punish yourself.
Exactly, right? But you can celebrate. You can cheer yourself on a little bit. You can tell yourself good job. You can, there's all kinds of stuff. And just you can and another thing that Haley talked about is being kind to yourself. Like this is one of those times of being kinder to yourself where, if you do something that you recognize as good and it's a step forward, take a moment and pat yourself on the back and congratulate yourself for doing that, for getting yourself out of the slump, even if it's just for that one time. Because what that's going to do is it's going to reinforce that good behavior. Some of the things that Ryan talked about and that Haley also talked about were just matters of discipline, right? Because the more you can kind of get yourself to do these things and see them as a good thing. Ryan talked about eating half a sandwich, putting it down on the table and, waiting 20 minutes to eat the other half. That's discipline, right? That's really just denying yourself and forming some self-discipline in yourself. What discipline does is that helps us to learn to trust ourselves. When we know that we're a disciplined individual, we can trust that we're going to be able to do the things we say we're going to do. We know that we're going to be able to get up and do those things, right? So, yeah, I think that's it. It's like, but,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I like the whole idea of celebrating those wins, man, because I never do that. I never do that. And that's something I should start doing. It's like, oh my gosh, I got out of bed.
Yeah, that's a victory sometimes. Some days, that's a victory.
Yep. I didn't eat the whole bag of chips. I just ate half of it. Like
this morning, I got out of bed and went for a long walk with my wife because we caught some mice in our live mice traps and we had to go put them outside. And she didn't want to have them sit in the cage for hours and hours and hours. So we went this morning and we released them.
Dude, it's a mouse.
They're mice. Yeah, they're cute. You should have seen pictures of them. They're so adorable.
They are cute.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how well I could talk about keeping them alive because in our research lab, they're oftentimes not being kept alive, but they're super cute.
They're very cute. Yeah. Well, we wanted to keep ours alive. We didn't want to injure them.
Well, that's because if you kill them, you got to eat them, right? That's
exactly,
the rule,
and I'm not
right,
into
Ryan?
eating mouse. Unless it's Mickey.
I mean, how would you do that? Like, what are you gonna do? Like, take this tiny little thing, like, roast it on a stick?
Yeah.
I guess you could be like roasting marshmallows, right? You just
there you go.
Then a mouse.
Wow.
Make a mouse s'more, right? Squeeze cheese and saltine crackers.
It's so sad.
That is a meal. That is a meal. Kings.
Sorry.
Kings of the ghetto. Amazing.
Sorry.
Well, thank you so much for
my
this
brain's dumb
topic.
Sometimes.
Read book. And we really appreciate it. I think that was a great topic to start on, and hopefully it was helpful. I mean, we it was kind of broad. We don't know any of the specifics, so we try to give as much of the different possibilities we could think of to help. So I hope at least something we have said has been helpful and will be useful in moving forward so that you can find your productivity once again. Yep. Good job, guys. Did it. Celebrate.
We did it. We did our first topic.
We did it.
Hooray!
Look at us go. We're on a roll, man. And wow, we're gonna have to start taking stuff. Like, you guys got stuff you want us to talk about in the chat. We might have to start fielding stuff from you guys, or we can invent topics and tell everybody that you told us to say it.
Would it be okay if I messaged Baka and say, "Hey Baka, we want to do your topic, but you're not here. Is that alright if you come on?" And then I can
like I'm gonna say no. No,
Okay.
it's not okay for you to message Baka.
Okay, then I won't. I was thinking
Ryan's
about it
just
though.
gonna politely be like, "Baka, get over here now."
Yeah, get over here right now. And he's like,
as
"Where?"
long as you do it, yeah, you got to do it in a mean way.
I found him.
Haley said so.
Hey,
Demonstrate the aggressive Ryan.
I love you so much that I want you on Don't Worry Wednesday right now to do your topic. Please, please
Thank you.
come.
Please, thank you.
That face.
That's the aggressive Ryan right
yeah.
there. Good job, Ryan. I'm so proud of you. Celebrate your aggression.
That's right. That's right. That's me. I am the aggressor. Just you watch out, world.
Man, oh man.
Well, okay. Hey, if anybody has anything they want to have us talk about, you can go to don'tworrywednesday.com, or you can post it right in the chat for us to cover here and now.
Oh, you know what I could do? I could check. I could check the topics.
We've got some old.
We don't have any new
old
ones.
topics we can do that we put into the side and said, these are so
they're
old.
like 6 years old or whatever.
Yeah. If you can find them. Oh, there we go. We got Baka. Baka. My aggression worked. I was so aggressive with him.
Good job.
It worked. Dang. I should whip more people into shape.
Aggression is the solution.
Yeah.
Ryan,
hey,
okay.
I love you. I love you so much that I want you on Don't Worry Wednesday right now. Oh my gosh, it's working. Wow. Those words really work. Okay.
It's a miracle.
Amazing.
I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed, Ryan. I'm beyond impressed.
I could learn to.
You know what? You have earned a mouse squeeze cheese saltine s'more from me.
Oh dang. It's my day. I will be king. All right. Perfect. So we're gonna.
Well, maybe not though. Squeeze cheese has gotten expensive. Like, I had to get generic squeeze cheese because like name brand squeeze cheese is too expensive now, and it's all the same, really.
It is.
It's junk.
That's true.
But it's so good.
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and do this topic, if that's all right, Baka.
Yeah.
You showed up, so I assume that's okay. Thank you, by the way. Thank you so much, Baka. I honestly appreciate you coming on so quick. That was fantastic. We were sitting here digging for topics. Yours is the only one we have, so we hope that others will participate in this community that we have of people having problems and sharing them. Guys, have more problems out there. Go get arrested or something.
What?
What? And then hate the police and you can feel like Joe.
Don't get arrested, man.
Don't get arrested. Not real. We aren't professional psychologists. Anyways.
Ryan's moving into his lawyer era.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. If Ryan's legal advice is go get arrested, man.
That's why Ryan's moving into his lawyer era. He's He's promoting being arrested so that he can then have clients that he can defend.
You know
That's
what?
right.
That's
That's
a
right.
fair point.
That is so good.
That
Wow. Man, I would. Haley, I'm scared of
Oh
you.
man,
You would be a really good lawyer.
no.
You could get
Now
people into so much trouble.
I'm getting all kinds of conspiracy theorist
Yeah,
thoughts in my brain.
I know,
Like,
right? How many lawyers have held cases that they started? Interesting. Brilliant. Brilliant. Okay, let's do this. So this topic
all right.
is from Baka. It is titled Running Away from the Past. And I'm going to go ahead and throw it up on the screen for you guys so you can read along. And here it is. It reads as follows. Graduating high school and finally moving out for college. The first step into adulthood. I don't know if I was stepping into a new start or running away from the past. The morning of June 6th, 2021 would change my life forever. Finishing high school and moving to college where I reside feels like I have ran from the bad memories. It feels like breaking ground every time I return to my hometown. And when I'm there, it feels like I always want to leave as soon as I can. I just always feel like I have an emotional wall up when I'm there. Then I run back to the solitude of my apartment, far from the memories, hiding in a box. Just knowing that all things I can never do with my dad. All the things I can never do with my dad. All the things that feel empty without him being there. From Baka. Yeah, Baka, I have to admit right off the bat, as soon as this topic started, I was like, I think I know where this is going, I mean, the loss of your dad was obviously a huge part of your life, very intense, traumatic, however you want to describe it, and it's something that we've walked a little bit of that journey with you, though obviously we've had to bear none of the pain that you have to, right? And so I sincerely feel for you. I feel it feels awful. I mean, I can imagine anyone that I'm close to, right now in life, if they pass, I know that it will be a very big deal to me. And I can only imagine how much bigger of a deal it is when it's someone that is your father figure. You have a relationship with them, and you're still young at that time. And yeah, they are very important to you. Like, they are legitimately very important. Especially to be right at the stage of life where you're kind of, entering out of high school and into college. Like, the figure in your life as your father, just gone at that moment. That's real rough. I know that it happened just prior to you graduating, but if I remember correctly anyways. But yeah, this is a hard topic, obviously, just because we're dealing once again with death. But we're also dealing with the idea, the notion of running away, and how do you confront that, and how do you renew that? How do you make it at least more comfortable? And how do you make it so you can stop feeling like whenever you return home that the first thing you have to do is everything in your being wants to say run, just get away from here, this is so uncomfortable, I don't want to be here, I want to just go back to my own little box and be happy, because everything's confronting you, right in your face. So yeah, I sincerely hope that we can do something, if nothing at all, just encourage you to keep going forward. You're an amazing person, and we're so thankful to have you here on Don't Worry Wednesday. We've had you on to speak several times. You've been a blessing, and just everything I've learned about you just through any time we've talked or I've seen you interact with other people. You're just such a beautiful person, a great light that I wish more people would follow. You are someone that I find is absolutely worth following in this world, because you have such a great heart, and that's something we really need more of in this world. So, anyways, I'm gonna give it over to Haley, if Haley's all right with that. if you're not ready, yeah, okay. I'm gonna get over to Haley and see. Hopefully, all will go well for you in the future from everything that Haley has to say, because it's gonna be so good. Take it away.
Yeah. So I do want to say I know what it's like to lose your dad. I lost my dad the summer after my freshman year of college.
Mm.
Yeah, I had to think back and make sure that was right. But yeah, so I know what it's like to lose your dad, and I know how hard that can be. Obviously, I'm not you, so I can't say like, oh, I know exactly how you feel, Baka. That's my situation. But I do know the pain of losing a parent. Um, I will say, just because you've gone off to college and have stepped into adulthood doesn't mean you're running away from the pain.
Mm.
It's easy to feel like that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Especially if it feels like you're just always distracted and not noticing that pain. But um, life, unfortunately, well, maybe fortunately, I don't know, it just moves forward. Time doesn't stop. And so, even in the midst of the grief and pain, we kind of just have to keep moving forward. Um, there's not really a right answer as to how to do that, but there's definitely wrong answers. You don't want to just give up and stay stuck in place and stuck with your grief the entire time. It is important to get out there to learn how to process the grief and pain. Um, and also, just because you don't always feel that pain doesn't mean that you're ignoring it or running away from it, because it's possible to have um, happiness and sorrow coexist together. And grief tends to come in waves. And so there's going to be times when you may not notice the grief and pain, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean you didn't love your dad. It doesn't mean that you're ignoring the emotions. It's just that there's other things in life that can bring you joy as well. Um, Being at home, I understand how hard it can be. I'm sure it's not easy being at home and having all those memories of your dad and being reminded of all the things that you can never do with him. It's definitely difficult when there's memories that come up. Even I have moments where I feel really sad when I start to remember my dad, or I think of things that I wanted to do with him but never had the chance to do. But that's okay to feel as well. And it's also okay to want to be able to move on from those feelings. It is important to be able to process those feelings, though, and to acknowledge that they are there and to be okay with them being there. But it's not wrong to want to be able to escape the feeling of the drowning grief and be able to go back to where you're able to be happier. I think it's natural to want to be happier, and that doesn't mean that you're failing or you're running away. Um, it's I think it's just important to try and let your feelings exist as they are and to acknowledge them and not belittle or invalidate them, whether that's the happiness or the sorrow. But also, I will say, I think sometimes being able to get away is helpful for processing the grief. When my dad passed, I was at home for a little bit, but I'd already made plans to go back up to college and work in a research lab and stay with my aunt. And so I was at home for about a month after his passing, and then I went back up to school so that I could work in my lab. And it wasn't always easy, but I think being able to get away from where all the memories were was healing for me because I was still in an environment where I was able to acknowledge my feelings, but it wasn't like there was just this constant grief and pain that was weighing on me all the time, I was able to get into a routine and find a new normal. And I think that that was really helpful in my healing process. Obviously, everyone is different, and we all have our own ways of processing grief and our own uh, methods of healing. I know for me, since I'm religious, my beliefs were another thing that were able to bring me a lot of hope, and I was able to try and hold on to the idea that even though my dad wasn't physically there, he was still watching over me and seeing the things I was accomplishing. And I think in some ways that was also able to help bring me peace in moving on with my life and continuing to do things because I knew that he was watching over me and he would want to be able to see me do these things. But yeah, so I think it's definitely really hard. And even I still struggle with the feelings of grief sometimes. But it's important to be kind to yourself and to not invalidate how you're feeling and to not guilt trip yourself if you do feel happy. And it's important to remember that life moves forward and we don't have much choice but to move forward. And just because you're moving forward with your life doesn't mean you're running away or you're forgetting him. It's just part of continuing on, and you can keep his memory with you even as you do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well said.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
that's such an important thing. There are definitely times where we guilt trip ourselves for like forgetting some kind of loss. I remember, stupid as it is, at some point losing a girlfriend or something and just being like, whenever I was happy, I was like, I shouldn't be happy right now. It's like we do that to ourselves. And we need to,
How dare you be happy?
yeah, we need to learn to allow ourselves to move on. Otherwise, we're forcing ourselves to get stuck. Obviously, we don't know necessarily where Baka's at, but that's some really good advice for sure. Yeah. Go.
Yep. I don't know how to follow that.
Another squeeze cheek joke? No, I'm just kidding.
Squeeze cheese.
Another squeeze cheese joke? You follow one of
Just
those?
drown everything
Drown
in
it with
squeeze
squeeze cheese?
cheese because
Yeah.
it's so good.
Good way to
And
follow up
yeah,
anything.
it'll be great, right? No, well, you mentioned about having emotional walls up when you're back home. And I think that's completely normal, and I think that's natural under the circumstances. And it's totally fine, right? Because you're in a process of healing and it could take a while. I mean, and the there's no set time frame on healing from some of these things. And each and every one of us, like Haley said, our journeys are different. We're all different people, right? And so even though we might have the same or similar incidents happen to us because of our makeup and who we are and what we've been through and all that stuff, like we're going to respond differently. We're going to have a different experience with it based on all of that. And so, but just I really, really want to tell you, Baka, that you're okay. It's okay for you to be experiencing what you're experiencing. It's okay for you to feel this way. It's okay for you to have this confusion, and and it's understandable. I don't want to invalidate that at all because that would just be silly. And I know that there are people out there that would be like, "Oh no, you just got to get yourself back on the horse and do the blah 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 blah." Like that. And people like that, they mean well. I understand. But honestly, man, like you are where you are, and you're okay. It's okay. And I love what Haley said. Just because you want to move forward with your life, it doesn't mean that you're running away. It doesn't mean that you're just, running away from your feelings or running away from, this event or whatever, because it's just simply not the case. We do have stuff to do with our lives. And anytime I've lost somebody, or anytime, somebody in my life has died, and I have a really weird I have a weird relationship with death and the death of others. Like I very rarely mourn at funerals. I very rarely cry. I'm it's I always feel like I'm sticking out like a sore thumb because I just feel like awkward, and because everybody else is having this deeply emotional experience and I'm just kind of sitting there stoic. But I I always like to think in terms of, you know, I love this person. They've passed on. What would be the best way I could honor them? What would they really want me to be doing? And I can tell you by conversations I've had with cousins and uncles and grandparents and everything, like people that, as they were in their final weeks or months, and we'd talk or whatever, they they want to see me flourish. They want to see me grow. They want to see me move on. They want to see me, accomplish and do stuff. And so it's like honoring their memory to move forward, because that's what they'd want me to do. And probably, I mean, if you think about it, Baka, I mean, your dad loves you. He wants what's best for you, even though he's not on this plane of existence with us anymore. Um, he wants you to be you and to be the best you. And that means moving forward, right? And that doesn't mean letting go of his memory. That doesn't mean, just disregarding, you know, the memories, and even like it doesn't mean when you have those memories that you shouldn't get emotional, because it's okay to get emotional over those memories. It's okay to have those feelings, right? And it's okay to be where you're at, because like I said before, healing is a process, it's a journey. It's not usually easy. And man, I know, just based on our limited conversations, just from what I know about you and from getting to know you a little bit, you've got so much that you can offer this world. You have so much that you can grow into. You've got so many things you can do. You have such a tremendous heart that you can impact people. And all of these experiences that you've had, they do tend to shape us. The struggles, the painful moments, as much as we hate them, as much as they can sometimes cause trauma, and as much as they can sometimes create issues for us in our lives, those moments do shape us, and they help us to be more compassionate, especially with people when they go through similar things or just pain in general, right? Because we're never going to escape painful moments. That's one thing that all of us are going to have in this life. Mental, emotional, physical. We're going to have painful experiences. And that's okay. And I find it interesting sometimes, I'll talk to Ryan and he'll talk about how he will rush kind of toward pain rather than away from it. Sometimes. Not when it's cold. That
Got
kind
that
of
right.
pain he doesn't run toward.
You are right. You are so right. You got me, man.
But Ryan has a way of embracing pain, which is very interesting to me, and I think he realizes something. And Ryan, you can totally correct me and undo this if you want, but I think part of it, and one of the things that makes me thankful that he is who he is and that I get to be friends with him, is that he allows pain to happen to him and he allows himself to feel pain along with other people through empathy. And what that does is it creates a more compassionate, more service-oriented person that really, really wants to help people and really, really wants to help people grow, really, really wants to see them flourish and get better and heal and everything, right? These are all things that make up who he is that I just admire the heck out of. You're welcome. It's true.
I think that's
But
true for a lot of people here, for sure.
Yep, that's one of the things. I mean, our painful experiences do open up our hearts. They tend to open our hearts to be more willing and able to serve another person who's hurting
Mhm.
and to be able to understand them at a deeper level, you know? Like one of the worst things possible was I'll never forget when I had a marriage prep class, right? And it was taught by this couple that was like they were, I don't know, they'd been married for like 10 or 12 years or whatever, and they hardly had any marriage struggles throughout they were just like, "Oh yeah, our marriage is so great," and da 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 da, and this and that, and blah 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 blah. And it's like that was like the worst because, like, seriously, you want to have somebody who's been in the trenches that can help you like figure out how to go through the trenches because the trenches happen, right? And if you have someone who's never experienced any problems, like how are they going to empathize with you? I remember getting financial advice from a person who like they had never struggled with debt, and I was like deeply in debt, at the time. And I was like, I'll never forget. I was like, yeah, so I'm dealing with this and blah 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 blah. And then this person was like, well, yeah, you just don't do that in the first place. And I'm like, well, thank you. That helps because I'm here. I did that. And now what do I do?
It
Well,
allows us
I
to go
just
back
never
in
did
time.
that. I was never, and the whole attitude was like, well, I was never that stupid to do what you did. Right. And I was like, forget you, man. Like, but Baka, really, dude, like, you're okay. I don't think you're necessarily trying to escape, but I think that, you're dealing with a wound and you're healing from that wound, and it's okay. It's okay to be where you are. And so, man, my hat's off to you. You're awesome, buddy. I'm going to turn it over to Ryan.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with both of you. And it's funny because before you started to talk about just kind of running towards pain, I already was thinking about the things I want to say, and kind of happens to be a little bit of that.
About running towards pain?
Yeah, a little bit. But here's what I want to say.
Go get hurt, man.
Yeah, go get hurt, man. Oh man, bro, jump off a house. Okay, anyways, don't do that. I don't run towards that kind of pain.
we
I'm not a thrill seeker. Yeah. Were you gonna say something?
Me?
Yeah.
Thrill seeker. I was gonna say that's more like Haley.
Oh. Nice.
Haley's more of a thrill seeker.
I won't deny it.
You won't deny it. That's great.
But I mean, you do live in Australia now, Ryan, and there are lots of dangers there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we keep spiders in our house.
Like Australian people are
Mhm.
dangerous, man.
Oh yeah, they've got boomerangs. Everyone's packed with a boomerang and a knife,
Everybody's kind of.
and they all go, "That's not a knife." That's right. They quote the American movie.
Oh my! I'm totally kidding. Australian people are wonderful. I'm sure
they're great. Yeah, there's a lot of little good Australian people I've met online or whatever. Anyways, moving on to
just don't come back to America because Americans are crazy, man.
Hey, that's okay. I can deal with a little crazy. It's part of what makes life fun and crazy.
Yeah,
and crazy fun. Yeah. So Baga, this is something that you had said. You said it feels like breaking ground every time I return to my hometown. And you just want to leave as soon as you can. You also said that it feels like you've got an emotional wall, right? And when you said it feels like I have an emotional wall up when I'm there. And so it seems to me that that's sort of the thing, because you might be feeling like you ran away, and every time you go there you feel like running away. And I kind of agree with, obviously Joe and Haley said, though I can't speak for you, but part of it is you had to go. I mean, you had to keep your life going, and that was a good thing. I mean, technically you could have just stayed there, yeah, but that would kind of be running away from moving your life forward too, in a way. So I would say you did the right thing, and you had to move forward. I wouldn't call that running away. But as far as, when you return home, you feel this shell, and all you can think about is just like, I don't like being here. I don't want to be here. Here's my question. Who is that emotional wall built up? Like, obviously it's built up to protect you, and you know that. You know how this works.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But protect you from who? Or what? That's an important question. We're going to have to answer that question before we can get anywhere. At least, I mean, I can keep on talking and I can say things, but that's going to be a good question for you to answer. Is the emotional wall there to protect you from other family members? Is it there to protect you from yourself? Is it there to protect you from just the memories and just the location, for example? Is it the location? Right? You have to sort of try to answer this question the best that you can, because that will at least allow you to see the wall, know its width, and start learning how to break it down, right? And so that's my first thing I want to ask you. And obviously you don't have to put it in the chat. Of course you don't. That's just a personal question for you to answer to yourself. Who are you protecting, or what are you protecting yourself from? What's the emotional wall for? And then when you figure that out, or before, what I'd like to ask you to do, if it's all right for me to ask you to say a prayer, pray this prayer. Lord, please tenderize my heart. Please tenderize my heart. That's a scary prayer, but it's an important one. It's short, but valuable. And dwell on it. Think on it. Because when a meat is tender, what happens? It can more easily soak up its surroundings. Whatever you want to marinate it in, or whatever, right? Your heart is a muscle. It allows other things in. And tender meat is so much softer. So when other things come in, they meet gentleness. So even when you are in pain from being tenderized, you can reciprocate love, gentleness, patience, kindness, many virtues. And on top of that, you don't have to have your heart hardened from others influencing you, from others making statements about the parts where you're emotionally unwell, or you're worried. They're going to say something about it, whatever it is, right? So I would say, personally, for me, that's been a very good prayer that I've had to use in the past. It makes our hearts so much better, especially when we're going through pain, and it allows us to take the pain on in a way that doesn't result in us building up a new wall and learning how to figure out how to block that pain out. because you're going to need to experience that. Whatever that pain is that you're trying to avoid with that wall, you're going to need to experience it and let it in, and then no longer actually be. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck there. You have to, I don't mean to say embrace darkness, but I do mean to say you have to be willing to get to a point where it's not uncomfortable and it doesn't hurt. Now, I don't mean to say you want to get to a point where you're never going to be upset about this scenario again, or that your compassion runs dry, or that you don't think of your dad and feel pain. Like that's good, healthy, and it's normal. But when you have an emotional wall up to protect you from those things, that means you've taken on the pain, but you've not digested it correctly. It's ended up in a wall rather than ended up as something that empowers you, right? And not everything has to empower us. It's not the point of a tragedy. The point of a tragedy is something bad happened. But it doesn't need to be more tragic by making your whole life at home, and that is your other home, or your life where you are now at your other home, feel like you're running away or escaping it. Obviously that's not where you should be, and that's why you brought it up to us. So my point is to some degree embrace that pain and recognize that it isn't bad. The thing that's bad is usually the wall. Now, obviously, with pain comes more judgment. You can judge things better, and you can know who to trust and who not to trust, and that's valuable. But being open and vulnerable does so much good when it comes to personal, deep, trusting relationships. If you can say the things that run through your mind and not fear that you're going to get attacked by the people around you, my goodness, that is such a blessing. And if your home can be that place, that's lovely. If you recognize that it can't be, that's a whole different topic. It's a whole different topic. And so I'm not going to talk about it. But just recognize that's a whole different topic. So additionally, the last thing I want to say here is it happened again. Pizza. No, happened again with me losing track of what I was going to say, and then it came to pizza. Let me see. Let me read through this. Okay. The last thing I want to say is this. You've heard us talk about value before, and that a lot of times the reason we feel such great pain or emptiness is because of the value inherent in the person that is now no longer in our lives, and all of the things we would or could have done if that person was still in our life. Yeah, absolutely. And like Joe, I have a weird, perhaps a very different perspective on death than most. I don't tend to mourn. I feel like, man, life is going to be a blink of an eye once I've lived in eternity with the people that I love. And I think that that's a beautiful statement, but and something to dwell on. But aside from that, we talk about the value of that person, and the pain is there because there's value. But I want to let you know too that the pain is there because pain is the flip side of value. Everything has a cost in life, generally speaking. When you go to the store and you buy something, you pay for it, and you have to pay out more money for things that are going to be more valuable. In fact, the amount that you're willing to pay for an object is determined by the value that you place on it with your own perspective, when it comes to the human heart feels pain. Because pain is the cost, suffering is the cost of the flip side, which is there's value. There's value inherent in you and in your heart. And you're going to go through life and there's going to be suffering. And if you run from it, you run from that suffering your whole life, you won't be able to pay the price. You're not paying the cost that it is to be so valuable. When we run from everything in life, and I'm not saying you are, Baka, I know that you're not, because I see how you've gone to college, you've been working hard in a lot of different things. So, but my point is, when we live a life of fear of pain, when we build up all these walls, what we end up doing is we become unwilling to pay the price for things that are worth doing. And we forego paying the price that is building our heart, become stronger and better. And we say, I don't want to pay that price. It hurts too much. It costs too much. I don't know how to live if I pay that price. I won't have enough whatever to live. I won't have enough money to live off of in the case of like buying something that costs a lot. But in the case of you, your soul, your heart feels like literally like, I don't want to pay that price. Because if I feel like if I pay that price, I won't know how to continue on living. At least the same way that I have been living. That's the fear you're facing. You think in your brain that it's too high of a cost to pay. And if you do pay it, you don't know what's going to happen. It might not be worth it. You might be paying too much of a price, and the thing that you get is not as valuable as you thought it would be. One way or another, you forgo that beautiful value that's inherent in your heart and ready to bloom. And the value of the world around you that you neglect to address, and the relationships that you could be improving. Because it hurts, and it has a price. And so that's why I say, Lord, please tenderize my heart. Let me take the hammer. Let me take the pounding. And that's a scary thought. But if you say it to God, he won't. He's not gonna do too much harm. He's not gonna do it so that you get the worst end of the stick. You can trust him. So that's why I do that. And that's why I encourage you. Try to do the same. There's profound beauty on the other side of pain. In a world without pain, we would not know the value because there would never be any costs to pay. The price of a good human heart is a lot. And it's going to take a lot of pain to be the best you could possibly be. Because it's so valuable. And unfortunately, that's the stick. That's the world we live in. That's the reality we live in, and it's absolutely beautiful. If it's scary, yes, it is scary. It's scary, but absolutely beautiful. And I know that a lot of us, if we were God, we wouldn't have made it this way. But I thank God that he did, because it's brilliant. Anyways, that's what I have to say. And I hope that hits somewhere close to home enough to encourage you to feel like you don't want to run away anymore. Or when you do feel that pain, that you want to run away, you choose something different. Choose something new. That's what I got for you. And I love you, Baka. You're amazing. So amazing. All right. Do either of you have anything you want to add on to that? Feel free to do so.
Go ahead, Haley. I don't know how that was
Um,
lovely is all I have to say.
mhm. Yeah, I was gonna add I do know sometimes we do what we have to survive.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
when we go through
Mhm.
tragedies, sometimes it's all we can do just to survive.
Yep.
And I know that sometimes we build those walls as part of a survival technique, and it's not necessarily bad. If that's what allows you to survive, that's okay. But it is important to remember that it's only a temporary method until you're in a better place where you can survive without them.
I
And when
like that
that
a lot.
happens, you need to be able to take the walls down and process. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to say like it's okay if you feel like you're building walls and that's what you have to do in order to even like make it through being at home. Um, there's nothing wrong with that. But it is important to start working towards getting to a place where that's no longer necessary, whether that's through building up a better support system or learning how to better process your own emotions or even just giving more time to heal. It's okay. It's like a dual-edged sword where it's good if it can help you make it through, but it can get to the point where it's toxic and starts hindering you. You
Mm.
just have to try to be emotionally aware of yourself and pay attention, I think, so that you know when it's time to let down the walls. And you don't even have to just let them all come down at once. It's okay to let them down little by little as you learn to start opening your heart up again. I've definitely had to go through that process before where I used to build a bunch of walls, and over time I've learned how to let them go. Um, and that's completely okay. Uh, as long as you're able to make it through and if you're able to still find joy, I think that's the one of the most important things is being able to be happy and be able to make it through. And when you're dealing with trauma and grief like this, it's okay if you're in survival mode and it's okay if your home is putting you in survival mode. Ideally, it'll get to a point where it doesn't do that anymore, but it's not bad that that's where you are right now.
Mhm.
I love that caveat. Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, because like we spend so much time and you read so much and listen to so much about people that talk about, oh, don't build up your walls, let your walls down, da 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 da. And I remember going through a whole healing process that I had gotten from church that was talking about, how our walls become prisons, which they do. If they stay up too long, they will imprison us. And like Haley was talking about, they become toxic, right? But, and so sometimes it's kind of like putting a bandage on a wound where you got to protect it while it's healing, right? You have to have some kind of protection, some kind of barrier. And I've noticed this in my case that there have been a handful of times when my walls aren't really there to protect me, but they're to protect the people around me.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
Because, man, if I let my heart just fly out there, holy cow, I'd be hurting people, and I have,
Mm.
you know? When the healing isn't quite there yet and everything like that, and the wall starts to open up a little bit, and then somebody just gets whacked with the Joe. And it's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But, like, and so sometimes, like Haley was talking about, it's okay to be building a wall. It's okay to protect yourself and those around you while you're going through a healing process. But it is good to pay attention to yourself, like she said, to know when those walls are no longer necessary and they start to come down. And I think what Ryan was talking about as far as saying that prayer and praying for a tender heart and or seeking out that the understanding that this pain can be used to give you a tender heart, to make you more compassionate, to help you grow and into a more, full being, you know, to pay attention to yourself enough to know when it's okay to start letting those walls down. Because I don't know, man, it's pretty wild. But oh, and the other thing I had to say was, if you're gonna go hide in a box, make sure it's a box.
That's right. I love that he said that. I was like, I think it's a box reference. That's got to be a box reference.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't.
If you're gonna hide in the box, hide in the box, right?
Yeah. The I
which
just
you
wanna
can
say,
get with a purchase from the BSS store, right?
That's right. You can get box with every purchase except for postcards. You get a letter.
That's
no,
right.
that's not true. You get a letter.
You just get a.
Yeah, it's not the letter C for cranberries. It's an envelope, or an envelope, however you want to pronounce it. Envelope.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I here's the thing. I think maybe a good way to say it is, it's okay to build walls, so long as they don't, like, you don't keep them up long enough that they become your foundation, or a part of your foundation,
or your prison.
Yeah, or your prison, right? Yeah, of course.
Because eventually that's what happens. Eventually, you have the wall there for protection, right? And then over time, if you don't deal with it, that's the other thing that has to happen in this process, is you have to learn, while the wall's there, you have to learn to process this and deal with it and forgive yourself, forgive others, to learn how to go through that process. Because then, if you keep your walls up and don't process, what happens is you just feel protected and safe, but you kind of stagnate in growth, and then those situations then will manifest themselves in other ways later in life, through maybe addictions, or through other weird personal issues that might crop up. Like there was some of that I had to deal with too, where I had built a wall like back in 7th grade, and there was stuff that I had held on to for so long, years and years and years and years, and it didn't take till I was an adult and I was like married and had kids and all this kind of stuff, and then like I went through this whole healing, the whole person program or whatever, and they were talking about this, and I remember they're like, okay, think back to all these different memories, and I hit on this one that was from way back in 7th grade, and I had never ever dealt with it, and it just stabbed me when I remembered it, and I was like, holy cow, this was a live one right here. And it had manifested itself in all kinds of different weird ways of thinking and habits and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, so just be sure you pay attention to yourself as you go through this process. But you're okay. You're in an okay spot. And healing takes time. Give yourself time. Be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself. It's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you guys, both of you. Baka, thank you so much for this topic. We hope that, sincerely hope that was helpful, and then it sparked some ways forward through this journey for you, into feeling free from, well, having to feel like you run away from everything or whatever it is, at least from this terrible event in your life, and so, yeah, we hope that it helps. And once again, you're so awesome. Thank you for making a topic for us, and thank you for sharing your heart. Thanks for being open with us and vulnerable, and trusting us to be a good friend. That means a lot. So, yeah, you're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Where are we at on the time thing? Because now I'm all messed up.
It's time.
Is it time to close it down?
Yeah, it's
okay.
10.
Thank you. Because my time is different. My time is different. Yours is the same, even though yours is the one that changed.
Wait, what? What is this? I'm the big Boulder Goron people?
What?
I'm so confused.
How did you
August,
become?
what do you...
How did you become that? Big Boulder Goron.
Legend
of
of
the Wild.
Zelda for Breath of the Wild. I
Okay.
never played Breath of the Wild. That's a Legend of Zelda game, right?
Mm,
Yeah.
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 I
All right.
played
Well,
some of the
that's.
original Zeldas. They were awesome.
Does that mean I'm like beefcake?
Beefcake.
Whatever.
Well, okay. I like beef and I like cake, but what is
Oh,
beefcake?
throw boulders, smash, breathe fire, big smiles. Yeah, good.
That sounds right.
I would like to say I don't remember Goron's breathing fire. Um, I
I can breathe
played
fire.
Twilight Princess and I've played Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and I don't remember fire breathing Goron.
Well,
I
I haven't
mean,
played them, so I've
me
only played the
neither, so I don't
originals
know.
that were for like the Game Boy and NES and stuff.
I mean, you
One.
know what? Maybe I'm not good at breathing fire, but I'm good at lighting things on fire.
That's true. And blowing hot air? Is that a
As
specialty? No,
a
I'm kidding.
as a biochem major, I can agree that lighting things on fire is great.
It
Oh,
is
I agree.
I don't think
fun. It is fun.
Who
I've
doesn't
met a
like?
that's not obsessed with fire.
hmm
Ah,
Who doesn't like lighting things on fire? I mean, it's great. You know what I really like lighting on
fire and
fire?
explosions and it's great.
Candles.
What do you like lighting on fire?
I
Candles?
like
Candles
lighting
smell nice.
scented candles on fire because they smell amazing, and I'm just like, oh, that smells just like sometimes it's like, oh wow, that smells like pumpkin pie, or like, I don't know, like vanilla or caramel, or like, I like the food ones. I don't care for the floral ones. I just really like the food ones. I'm like, give me a candle that smells like a brownie just got out of the oven. Yes, please. That's where I'm at.
They
Such
had
a
stereotype,
yeah.
bread scented candles. How do you
Ooh.
make a bread scented candle?
How do you make any of these things scented like anything? I don't know.
I don't know. Well, they come up with the weirdest names for some of these candles too. I remember I saw one in a store that said Harbor Breeze.
Yeah, and you're like, that's gonna smell like fish. Gross.
I was like, it should smell like diesel fuel and fish because that's what a
Okay.
harbor smells like,
Oh,
right?
that's right, because it's a harbor. That's right. Diesel. Yeah. What is that? And then, yeah, you have Ocean Breeze, which isn't a candle scent, but it's like a spray thing. I'm like, Ocean Breeze? That's... No one goes to the... I mean, maybe some people, but the ocean smells like fish poop.
It does. Well, maybe not the oceans. Oceans are saltwater, right? So they have a different smell. Like
Yeah,
you
they
might
do.
be thinking of the Great Lakes that we all grew up around, right? Like
Well, I've been to both. One smells like salty fish poop, and the other one smells like fish poop.
oh, so there's fish poop and then there's salted fish
Yeah,
poop.
salted fish poop, yeah.
Well, and then you also get candles named like 1,000 Witches. It's like, does that even have a scent?
What?
Yeah, what is that?
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Oh, it smells like 1,000 wishes. Some marketing guy, right? We're not
Yeah.
marketing people apparently. Like we don't understand this whole deal.
In Oasism, can you explain what boba scented candle is? Because when I think boba, I just think any drink possible.
Like boba tea, right? Like the boba
Yeah.
tea with the little.
But what makes a boba is the balls.
boba.
So you can put that in coffee. You can put that in a bunch of different kinds of tea. So what tea? Probably a tea. What tea specifically does it smell like? Like a.
Oh, it's very sugary and vanilla.
Oh heck yeah! I'm all for that.
Yeah.
I love that smell.
The vanilla is a very nice smell. I will say, I do enjoy the smell of vanilla.
That's one of those top smells for me. Vanilla, caramelized onions, fresh baked bread and or toast.
Mm-hmm.
Good smell.
Bacon.
Mm-hmm. Bacon. You like bacon?
The smell of bacon. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh! Like when I cook bacon, and the whole house smells like
Oh, the
bacon
whole house
for
will
2
smell like
days.
it,
It's
yeah.
so great. It's so great. Now, here's the thing though. I had a buddy who his parents made sauerkraut. That did
Ooh.
not make the house smell all that great, in
That's
my
true.
personal opinion. But that's just me.
I like sauerkraut, but I'll tell you what, not a great smell. Not a great smell. Not up there among the top anything for most people.
I would like to say when my house smells like bacon, most of the time it's sad because it's one of my roommates making bacon, so it's not
Oh.
my bacon.
Oh, that is sad.
And they don't share with you?
It depends on the day.
Depends. Yeah. I
Riku,
mean, it
you
goes
hate
so quick though.
sauerkraut?
It's so easy to just eat so fast.
Mm,
You know.
yeah. Riku, you know what? I'm sorry,
Riku,
but
you from Germany? Like,
yeah, Riku, I think you've dishonored your
I
country.
thought it was like a law.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. If she was French, it would be a law. They have weird laws like that when it comes to food and words. Oh, we have to leave that one hidden,
Do we
Riku.
put
You can
this-
say it differently if you would like.
I don't know. I'm
You can
about
say
to
it
show
tastes like something else, but you can't say it tastes like that. Sure, everyone understood what that meant.
You know what though, Riku? I will agree with you 100%.
I like it. I like it with
I agree.
cumin and brown sugar. Cumin and brown sugar. Yeah.
You
I
know,
like
it
it on a
probably
Reuben
go
I've
good
sandwich.
ever
with
had
is squeezed
sauerkraut.
cheese. Really? You're not
Mhm.
missing much. Well, do you like vinegar?
Do you like ketchup?
Not necessarily. Not particularly.
Okay.
You probably wouldn't like sauerkraut. It's
Yeah.
very vinegary. It's basically like cabbage in vinegar, in my
It
opinion.
is. It is. It actually, well, originally it wasn't, but it is now. I've had actual fermented sauerkraut now since I've been over here in
Oh, really?
Australia.
Wow.
And I will say I prefer the vinegar one better, actually.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, you can like whatever you want.
Yeah,
I get
and
all
Riku, you
kinds of
can like whatever you
garbage
don't
for
like.
liking squeezed cheese. People give me all kinds of stuff for
Yeah,
liking squeezed cheese.
nothing wrong with liking anything. But
Yeah, that's right.
except for sin. You guys stop it.
Ryan, you know the reason we sin is because
we
like
like it. Yeah, I know. That's the problem.
That's the reason we do it.
Darn it. Well, that's why I'm saying don't like
That's
it anymore,
part
you
of
know?
the problem. If we could
Yeah.
learn to stop liking it, it'd be better.
I
right?
know.
For sure. Steve,
Steve's-
you're right.
oh, man.
Squeezed cheese is the whip.
Is it the
It's
Cool Whip?
Hey, I was over at Steve's last week and I had deep
jealous.
fried corn dogs with squeezed cheese.
What about
Dang.
deep fried squeezed cheese?
That would be so good.
Joe's brain is
you could
literally
take-
exploding.
Oh my gosh. Like it if you make a grilled squeezed cheese sandwich, throw it in the deep fryer,
Okay, I'm on board for trying
wrap it in bacon,
Okay, you can cut me out. I'm kidding.
and stick it in a turkey.
And a turkey.
You know?
And then take it out and don't eat the
Part of
turkey,
this
just
is-
eat the grilled cheese sandwich, right? Right?
No, you use the whole thing together.
What's the turkey for?
It just kind of like it kind of sounds like heart disease to me, if
Yeah.
I'm
That's
being
okay.
honest.
Most
Yeah.
of the good things are like heart disease, right? Like that's like
I
mean,
love the
bacon.
turkey. I love the turkey part, by the way, Joe. That's perfect. Now it's also like stuffing, which, by the way, is amazing. Love stuffing.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, you should just deep fry everything. I think.
I think the plaque in your arteries would agree.
It would.
Yeah.
My plaque likes me.
Mm-hmm. That's actually well said. I'm not big on a lot of deep fried stuff, but that doesn't mean I don't like it. Of course, I still like it. I just like a lot of other things more.
Have you ever had
I like slow cooked.
have you had
things are so
deep
good.
fried Oreos before?
No, I haven't had that. Is it good?
Did you say deep fried Oreos?
Mm-hmm.
I've heard of them. I've
Yeah, I've
never
heard of
tried them. Are they good?
They are really good.
Yeah.
They
bet
get
they're-
sold every year at our county fair.
Ah,
Mm.
deep fried ice cream is actually really good.
Deep fried ice cream, deep fried
Yeah.
Oreos. I've heard deep fried Twinkies are really good.
Not that yet.
There was this place and I've only had these at this one place in Grand Haven, Michigan, right on the boardwalk by the beach. There was this little stand, and they had made these things called Pronto Pups. They were basically like corn dogs, but instead of like a cornbread wrapping, it was pancake batter and then deep fried. So it's like he put the hot dog on a stick, dip it in pancake batter, right? And then deep fry it. And those were so amazingly good. This is the only place I've ever seen anything like that. Anytime I had a corn dog, I had Pronto Pups before I ever had a corn dog. And then I saw a corn dog and I'm like, oh, Pronto Pups. And I eat them. And I'm like, these don't taste the same because it's not pancake batter, right? It's just not the same.
Yeah. Well.
Oh, well.
You can deep fry anything. I mean, you can deep fry your phone. It doesn't mean it's good.
Right?
I will say that.
I've heard that there's somewhere that does like deep fried Coca-Cola.
What? How would you manage that?
I don't know. Maybe you just like pour it in the batter and then deep fry the batter.
Hey, that could work. Oh boy. Ideas.
Yeah.
Steve, next time I come over.
Oh man, you guys are gonna have a lot of fun. You guys are gonna have so much fun.
We got stuff to
You'll
deep
become
fry.
deep fry scientists.
Yes. Let's
love
do
it.
it.
Deep fry scientist? That should be the name of the next YouTube channel we make. You guys can run it and just have a blast.
Yes.
It does sound fun. We'll be honest.
And Cats, I've heard of deep fried butter too. That sounds like heaven.
That sounds like extra heart disease.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It does. But you know what? It's like Ryan rushing toward pain because it makes you stronger. That's how you make
Rushing
your
towards
heart
heart
stronger. You
Okay,
eat the
okay.
deep
That's
fried butter.
It's a little stretched, but yeah, okay, sure. Whatever you guys
giving
want.
my heart a workout, man. Like,
Oh, it will be getting a workout.
yeah,
I don't know if it's the right kind of workout, but
it's probably the wrong kind for sure. And Cats, you want to put me in a deep fryer? Go for it. You try. I dare you.
Wow, that's a threat. Wait, that's a backwards threat. Wait, what?
All right.
Yeah, let's call it.
Now I'm hungry.
This has been a great show. I'm hungry too.
yeah, you've been
And-
thinking of pizza this whole time, Ryan.
Yeah, I know. I have been, but
I wonder
instead
whose fault that is.
I'm gonna have something else that's cheese. I'm gonna have a cheesecake.
Squeeze
Probably.
cheese. Squeeze cheesecake.
Ooh. What if you?
It
Okay.
would.
Anyways, we're gonna move on
Alright.
before my brain starts
You guys
actually
are
making
awesome.
these things in my head. Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of Don't Worry Wednesday. Thank you for just being here. Thank you for your joy, your love, your compassion, your help, everything that you guys share and do in the chat. You guys are amazing. Thank you all lurkers or people who watch later. Thanks for making this show something valuable. And you do that just by you being you. With that said, I wish you all an amazing rest of your week and hope to see you again next Wednesday. If you have any thoughts on topics, please submit them because we need topics right now. We are at basically 0, minus people who just haven't been showing up for a while. So if you could please just get some problems in your life and then share them with us, that'd be really great. Thank you. But no, honestly, don't have problems. But yeah, that'd be great. You can throw out some topics for us. You can go to don'tworrywednesday.com. Until then, we wish you all the very best in life and love and happiness, and hope to see you at least next Wednesday on Don't Worry Wednesday. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Love you guys.